Okay, so a pleasant day to everyone. So for today, we're going to study Practical Research 1, Module 4. So this includes characteristics, strengths, weaknesses, kinds, and importance of qualitative research. So it is but important na malaman natin kung ano yung characteristics niya, strengths and weaknesses para alam natin yung kumbaga overall picture when we get to write this type of research. By the way, credits to Region 3 and DepEd Bataan for this module, okay? So we also have to know the kind so that when we start writing, we already know kung ano yung type or kind ng qualitative research na gusto nating i-pursue. And then of course, the importance. So kumbaga, with everything that we do, we have to know the importance. Ano ba yung point? Bakit ginagawa natin ang qualitative research? Okay? So let's proceed. Here is the module development team. So credits to them for the material. So let's begin with the objectives. So at the end of this module, you are expected to describe the characteristics, strengths, weaknesses, and kinds of qualitative research and illustrate the importance of qualitative research across fields. So hindi lang, let's say, sa education, across all specializations and fields. Hopefully, ma-achieve natin. Okay? So, this one, last time we talked about qualitative versus quantitative research. So, if you still remember, these could serve as your assessment for you to check if you still remember the difference of qualitative from quantitative. So the least that you would do is like identify the given situation, then check, is this for quanti or quali? So if it's for quali, you write check. If it's not, put a cross mark on it. So for my students, this is one of your activities. Okay? So let's start. Okay, so after doing the initial activities, of course, you will be capable of like identifying where we are right now. So you may like refer to other modules or to the earlier videos, okay? So let's start with the characteristics of qualitative research. So when we say qualitative research, these can be easily characterized by carefully observing how some research elements such as research design, data collection, procedure, data analysis have been put into consideration. So, as cited from Spalding University Library 2020, there are these three key elements will guide the researcher to properly conduct a qualitative research study. Actually, kahit i-juxtapose natin sa quantitative, iba talaga sila ng research design, data collection procedure, and then data analysis. So for those who have been attending my classes or have watched my previous videos, kapag qualitative kasi ang research design mo, of course, is qualitative. So pwedeng you consider the different types of qualitative researches that will be discussed eventually. And then yung data collection method, kapag survey questionnaire or anything that deals with numbers, quantitative siya. Okay? For qualitative naman, it's about experiences, perceptions, or feelings, cases, or overall parang description. So, it's really words. Okay? So, kumbaga hindi ka nagbibilang dito, nag-i-explore ka. So, as mentioned before, pag quali, ang tina-target mo lalim. Okay? Lalim or depth. Kapag quanti, yung coverage, yung lawak. So, ganun yung movement niya. Okay? So, kaya nga usually kapag quantitative, you have a bigger number of sample size. Of course, considering your population. Pero for quali, mas konti siya compared sa quantitative. And of course, the data analysis, for quanti, it's statistical analysis. For quali, it's thematic analysis. Or kung pwede rin siyang discourse analysis. But usually, for starters like us, you could use thematic analysis. Okay? So let's proceed. So for the first one, purahin ko lang yun. Qualitative research, ayan, is naturalistic. Okay? So anong ibig sabihin natin doon? O, diba? Ang gulo. Okay. So what do we mean by that? When we say naturalistic, it is conducted by the researcher in real-life situations. Okay? Real-life situations. So natural. Wala siyang halong chemical. It's all natural. There's no intervention by the researcher. So the researcher should unfold the study in a natural manner. That is, the findings are derived from the analysis of authentic data gathered from participants. Our word is authentic. Okay? Hindi siya affected or hindi siya scripted. No, it's not. It's not part of an experiment. No. So lahat ng i-include dito is kung ano talaga yung naturally na nangyari. Okay? Wala siyang controlling characteristics. That's why it's natural. Next is qualitative research is purposeful. Okay? So the researcher should select the participants in a purposive manner. So kumbaga targeted. Okay? Let's have an example. So let's say magtatanong ako sa inyo, kunwari, let's say we are in a group, and then I could like generally ask in quantitative, sino may gusto sa aso? O sino mas gusto ang pusa? So if we're 100 in the classroom, and that's a quantitative study, lahat pwedeng sumagot. Okay? But for qualitative, it becomes purposeful kapag ang tinanong ko is, ano yung experience mo nung nakagat ka ng aso? So not everyone in the room was bitten by a dog or cat. So, targeted na. Sino yung pwedeng sumali or sumagot sa qualitative research? Kung halimbawa, mag-i-interview ako kung ano yung experience nila sa kagat ng aso. So, only those who were bitten by animals. So, hindi pwedeng lahat kasi wala silang experience na ganun. That makes it purposive. Okay? Or let's say, ang gusto mong interviewin is yung mga working students. Purposive na naman kasi hindi lahat ng students working students. So, hahanapin mo lang is yung mga working students. Okay? So, that is, they will be selected because they either have easy access to information needed or simply have the knowledge to provide a great deal of information needed to the study. These participants are called information rich in the context of research. So, sa konteksto ng qualitative research, kung working students ang focus mo, itong mga working students would become the best source of information since they're experiencing it. Okay? So this type of participant selection will validate the concept that qualitative study focuses on rich insights regarding the phenomenon rather than mere numerical data. So again, descriptions, experiences, feelings are under quali. So kumbaga, if you're going to relate that with friends, it's not about how many friends you have, okay? It's about the quality of friendship that you have. Or gaano kalalim ang friendship gaano kalalim ang friendship ninyo ng mga kaibigan mo. So, we're not after the number, we're after the quality. Or, the list is, if you have a phone, we're not gonna talk about how many phones you have. but we're gonna ask about how durable a particular phone is, or what makes that phone like really different from the rest of the phones sa market. So parang it's like that, okay? Then next is qualitative research is detailed. So compared kay quantitative, ito nga masalita. So as I recall the process of writing a qualitative research, medyo matrabaho siya. Both are matrabaho. Kumbaga, quantitative has its own workload. Quali has also its own version of tasks. Okay? So it involves a thick description of gathered data from the participants, making this type of research a detailed one. So if you made an interview, you're gonna transcribe. Okay? And then, papunta ka sa formulation ng themes. So, you really look into the details of the answer. Okay? So, it is important the researcher should capture the direct quotations of the responses. By the way, don't forget, bago ka mag-record, make sure na nag-consent, may consent from the interviewee. Kung ayaw niya magpa-interview ng naka-record, you really have to note things down. Okay? Hindi yung parang ninja ka na nagre-record ng usapan nyo na hindi alam ng other person, because that's wrong. Okay? And that's unethical. Next is, qualitative research requires engagement and neutrality. Okay? So what do we mean? Direct contact with people, situation, and phenomenon under investigation should be established by the researcher. So there is the engagement. So if this is you, the researcher, you really would talk to your participants, okay? So immersing oneself would enable the researcher to acquire personal experiences and insights, which are essential to better understand the phenomenon. So if there is this particular topic that you want to study, there are times, but within the boundaries of safety, na mas maganda na mag-i-immerse ka dun sa lugar na yun. Okay? Further, the researchers should also be neutral in the responses and observation. Neutral in a sense na you're not there to argue, you're not there to correct, you're not there to challenge, you're there to just note things down. Okay? Although human nature is by nature biased, okay? We have the tendency to be subjective, but we have to be reminded as researchers that we have to do our best para maging neutral, okay? And unbiased yung ating outputs, okay? So clear tayo dito. Balikan natin ha. Quantitative research is naturalistic. It transpires in a natural setting. Qualitative research is purposeful. Talagang pili yung pwede mong interviewin based on the parameters that you have established. Qualitative research is detailed. Okay? Napaka-detailed niya in a sense na there are lots of words. Okay? Word, diba? Kumbaga madaming words. And then, qualitative research requires engagement and neutrality. Okay? So, number 5 naman, qualitative research follows an inductive procedure. Kapag inductive, specific to general. Kaya nga ang movement natin is you have the responses, then from the responses, magpo-formulate tayo ng themes, okay? Mula dun sa mga themes na yun, we'll get something general, okay? Did we get that? Okay? So as the researcher immerses himself or herself in the phenomenon under investigation, specific details and data will be gathered from the target participants. These data then can be used to discover emerging patterns and themes. So, if din nyo na-imagine, for qualitative research, it's just like you select a particular phenomenon and then select ka ng mga participants mo. Then you will interview them. Tapos yung ina-interview mo, if you recorded, then you were permitted, you will transcribe or even translate. Okay? Then after that, after mo mag-transcribe or translate, ika-categorize mo sila. Alin yung magkaka-theme. Okay? Pare-pareho sila ng theme. O, you would categorize those. Hanggang malimit mo siya dun sa desired, baga, lahat ng very specific na trim down mo na. Yung mga magkaka-relate, magkakasama na sila. Then you have your major themes. Okay? Following an inductive procedure, the researcher will start from exploring the phenomenon, tapos titignan yung findings of the work. Okay? Then lastly, qualitative research is viewed in a holistic perspective. Kapag sabing holistic, buo. Okay? So, a study in a qualitative type cannot be simply done in linear and cause-and-effect relationship approach. Rather, it requires the researcher to view the whole phenomenon under investigation and complex systems. That is, different variables can either cause or affect the the phenomenon. So, kumbaga, hindi lang siya one way. Okay? So, for qualitative research, siguro the best way to consider this one is kahit kapag nagdi-data gathering ka, for quantitative, pagkabigay mo dun sa questionnaire, sinagutan na nila, we're okay na. But for qualitative, you are in the process of data gathering and you could even have follow-up questions, okay? Lalo na kapag sa mga semi-structured interviews, okay? Pwede mo siyang ibalik dun sa in-interview mo to have matters check, member checking. So, lahat ng mga na-interview mo, you could like present what scenes were formed and you ask them if that resonates with what they initially what initially were their responses. So, para kumbaga aligned pa rin. Okay? So, that's it for the characteristics. Naturalistic, purposeful, detailed, engagement and neutrality, and then inductive procedure, lastly, holistic perspective. Okay? So, ayan. Moving on. Ang daming sulat. I hope you're just okay with this one. Okay? Burahin ko muna to para may space tayo for this. So, now let's go to the strengths and weaknesses of qualitative research. Hindi naman kasi perfect lagi. Okay? So, there would be times na may strength siya, may weakness siya. So, even in other matters, like let's say teaching and cooking perhaps, or other specializations, they cannot really fix a single best method. Okay? So, strengths and weaknesses, it is known that a qualitative type of research focuses more on explaining why subjects are under investigation, think and behave in certain ways. So, with such purpose, it can be observed that there are corresponding strengths and weaknesses na meron ng qualitative research. Kung ang tao, meron siyang strengths and weaknesses, same goes with a research type. Okay? So, ito yung mga strengths and weaknesses ng qualitative research. Strengths. Qualitative research complements qualitative data. So, kumbaga, meron kang angle. Ayan. Diba? Usually, kapag 90 degrees, ito yung quali, ito yung quanti, or vice versa. So, they complement each other. They complete each other. So, interview and observation are the common instruments used in the conduct of the qualitative study. So, this can be utilized as a support din sa quantitative data. So, kapag ginamit to support quantitative data, kakaroon tayo ng mixed or pwedeng triangulation kapag tatlo. Okay? And your data could really come out to be strong if this is the case. Kasi hindi lang isa yung basis mo. Dalawa or even tatlo. Okay? So next, qualitative research provides a detailed information to explain complex issues. So may mga issues that are highly complex that could not just be reduced by numbers. Okay? The numbers. So that's not possible. So since this type of research requires the researcher to immerse himself or herself, direct experiences can be acquired. Similarly, considering information-rich participants as well as utilizing interview and observation as qualitative research instruments, this may enable the researcher to gather more accurate data, okay, to explain that complex phenomenon. kumbaga ito is, yung researcher immersed siya and mas madami yung contact time compared sa quantitative. And then, qualitative research is cost-effective. Why? Kasi small lang yung number of participants compared sa quantitative research. Okay? Less resources, hindi ka man din kailangan mag-print ng madaming questionnaires, survey questionnaires, kasi nga you're gonna interview. So, less resources. Okay? Of course, kung may strengths is complements quantitative, provides more detailed information, is cost-efficient. For weaknesses, qualitative research cannot generalize the findings. Hindi siya generalizable. Unang-una, kasi maliit lang yung number of sample, okay? So, hindi mo siya, that cannot be used to generalize. So, it's not generalizable, but instead could like present an in-depth perspective about a particular issue. Pero hindi mo siya pwedeng sabihin na, dahil sa quali ganito lumitaw, applicable sa iba. But you can always replicate. Okay? Replicate is different from duplicate. Remember, replicate, there's the parallelism form methodology. In the research process, ang duplicate, you copy it as is. We don't do this. Okay? So quantitative research is more difficult to analyze, unlike quantitative, okay? So kasi si quantitative, pwede mo siyang i-run dun sa SPSS through the help of a statistician. Ito, although merong mga computer-assisted na pang thematic analysis or ng computer software, it would still be better kung may manual na coding information of themes, okay? So, there's even the critical role of the researcher to carefully interpret the data. Unlike sa Quanti, i-run mo siya sa SPSS, lilitaw na. Or even sometimes even in Excel, you could like come up with a simple data analysis. And then, qualitative research is time-consuming, yes. Unlike Quanti, si Quanti kasi magsa-survey ka, di ba? Or even Google Forms. Afterwards, okay na tayo. But for Quali, kahit konti lang yan, sabi mong maximum of 17 or 20, nagbago isip mo, ita-transcribe mo lahat ng pinag-usapan yun, nitong mga 20 to, kahit tigi isang oras. So, let's say, isang oras ang naging interview mo sa lahat, bawat isa sa kanila, so that means 20 hours ang ipaprocess mo. Okay? So, similarly, the analysis and interpretation phase of the study also requires the researcher to take more time in observing the emerging patterns and themes. Okay? So, kuha natin yon. Weaknesses, di siya generalizable. It's difficult to analyze compared to quantitative. And then, it's time-consuming, which is undeniable. Okay, now, ito I'm showing you the glimpse, okay? So now let's move to the types or kinds of qualitative research. So it's important that you know, okay? So you have to really know the different kinds of qualitative research. So ito yung mga yon. You have phenomenological. Ang focus nito is lived experiences. Phenomenological, alam ko medyo nakakabulol, but yes, it's about the lived experiences of particular participants. Okay? So tinitingnan natin yung feelings ng participant sa particular na sitwasyon. Okay? Sample size, 5 to 25. And then, usually, interview ang mode natin dito. So, a researcher aims to determine the challenges and coping mechanisms of senior high school working students in the 2nd District of Bataan. Or, the researcher aims to explain the lived experiences of COVID-19 survivors in the province of Bataan. Okay? So, that's for the phenomenological. There's a specific phenomenon. And then, interviewin mo yung mga related doon or naka-experience ng phenomenon. Next is ethnographic. So, this is a kind of qualitative research na nagfo-focus sa isang group of people. Okay? You look into their behaviors, culture, challenges, and then let's look into the theme. Okay? So dito dapat may immersion. Okay? So let's say you opted to see how a particular indigenous group live. Okay? So hindi naman pwedeng puro pictures. So pupunta ka doon, you're gonna observe. Then you could interview and then ask them to answer a survey. Okay? So, halimbawa, determine the cultural practices and healthcare beliefs. Okay? That is ethnographic. Characterize the survival strategies of families in an urban poor community. So that's still ethnographic. Okay? So now it's grounded theory. I consider this as the challenging one. I believe hindi ko pa siya tinry gawin kasi nakaka-overwhelm yung idea. So this intends to explain a phenomenon through developing a theory. So you're not just employing a theory, you are developing a theory. So you're not just like describing the lived experiences, but you're coming up with a theory, explaining that situation. So grounded theory aims to provide explanations and theory behind those lived experiences. So, ano kailangan dito? So, may mga experiences sila from number 1. Ngayon, when a person tries to make sense out of the situation, then a theory is formulated. Grounded theory approach na yun. Okay? Personally, hindi pa ako gumawa ng ganitong paper. So, I don't know if ever I'd be given a chance. And then, ang kailangan dito is interview and supporting documents. Okay? So, ayan. Moving on. So, ito, conceptualize breast cancer survivorship process and then generate a theory of defense mechanisms of students. So, ang movement din ito is definitely is inductive, okay, from specific to general. Then we also have case study, okay. Okay, so continuing, we also have case study, okay. Ay, better examples muna pala ng grounded theory. So, yung conceptualization ng breast cancer survivorship process, or you generate a theory of defense mechanism. Okay, as mentioned, we have case study. So, after natin dito sa phenomenological, which is lived experiences, and then ethnographic, which is practical about a group of people, and then you immerse, and then grounded theory, wherein you try to come up with a theory or an explanation. Yeah, theory talaga. Based on what was collected na data, we move to a case study. Okay? So, a case study is a qualitative research kind na nag-aalaw sa researcher to have an intensive analysis. Again, the word is intensive, okay? The aim of this study is to accurately describe the case through an in-depth examination of a single person or a single institution, okay? So with this, meron siyang thorough interview, observation, and documentation. Pwede naman tayong multiple data collection. Okay? So, example ng case study, dapat may uniqueness dun sa case. Okay? So, the researcher aims to explain the causes of reading difficulty of a grade 5 struggling reader. Kaya nga pwede kahit isa lang. Okay? So, the researcher aims to describe the language challenges of hearing impaired students in a SPED class. So, usually, ang ideal, based on what I remember from a particular related literature is 12 to 15, okay, for this case study. Okay, actually, itong mga to, kadalasan, 15 to 20, until you reach the saturation point, okay? So, next, okay na tayo sa case study. Moving to historical, from the word itself, history. It deals with the identification, evaluation, and synthesis of past event data. Okay? Further, it aims to understand present patterns and anticipate future choices. So as we know, the past really has something to say about the future, and impacts the present. Okay? So, yun din yung isa sa mga reason bakit natin ito nag-aaralan. Clearly relating past event data which are obtained from sources such as documents, relics, artifacts, and oral reports. Of course, we cannot go back in time to interview people, okay? To interview people about what happened in the past. So, what you could do is look into the documents, relics, artifacts, at saka oral reports. Unless may buhay pa. Kung halimbawa medyo recent yan, na siguro mga nasa 90 years old yung participants, pwede ka mag-interview. Pero kung kumbaga they're already dead, dead men tell no tales, sabi nga, 'di ba? So you cannot get primary data anymore. So you could like just look into these artifacts. Okay? Example, exploration of the nature and context of political leadership in Bataan or of Bataan governors. So you're gonna look through the history or the development in the courtship letter writing among Bataeños or even Kapampangans. So it's like looking at the pattern, you start from the past. Okay? Next is narrative. Okay? These are life accounts of individuals based on their personal experiences. They are typically obtained and analyzed using qualitative research. So yung primary objective niya is to extract meaningful context-based on the documented experiences. So this is different from phenomenological. Bakit? Ang phenomenological, even if you try to look at the experiences, naka-focus lang siya sa isang phenomenon. Ang narrative, yung entire life nung tao or yung life story ng tao. Unlike sa phenomenological, yung specific na segment lang dun sa buhay niya. Okay? So, phenomenological research may use narrative, but narrative does not necessarily need phenomenological. So, isa sa mga ginagamit na approaches is discourse analysis for narrative. Okay? Characterize the struggles faced by student athletes, that's narrative, or describe the daily teaching experiences of millennial teachers. Okay? It's their story. So, with that, balikan natin. Phenomenon that lived experiences. Ethnographic, group of people. Grounded theory, develop a theory. Case study, okay? You have an intensive analysis, pwedeng isa lang. And then, narrative, personal experiences, but yung tao, hindi lang siya yung sa phenomenon. And then, yun, those are the types. We also have historical. Like you look for the pattern, considering data from the past. And then, importance of qualitative research. We are able to provide meaning to understand an existing phenomenon. We get to understand matters, okay? Nagagamit siya sa education, business, medical, and health allied services, okay? So, sometimes we may have the experience na, ay, di naman siya accurate, experiences naman siya eh. Eh, di ba subjective yan? But these experiences could actually give us substantial inputs that will make us understand why are people reacting that way? Or what possible solutions can we do based on the experience and feelings that were shared through the quali research, okay? So, halimbawa, researcher may study experiences of individuals and their access to healthcare. So, yung solicited responses would reflect their experiences, attitude, and circumstances. This could serve as suggestions, okay? Kasi these are authentic experiences. Okay? Ayan. So, for the rest, for my students, I'll be sending you the screenshots of the tasks that you have to do. And if you have further questions, like, feel free to comment, okay? So, I'll be uploading the next video by the next day. So, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if there are questions, feel free to comment. Okay, bye!